Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Hairgel, has made it his sole goal to try to disincentivize business growth. So we are taking our business to a state that actually wants the prosperity of a business like ours, and we're grateful for that.
Hey, folks, go woke, go broke. That seems to be the theme of 2023, probably 2022, right? I mean, Bud Light, certainly nobody wants to even drink it. It's like, it's been dropping. I mean, I think that it's going to end. I even tweeted about the fact that we should come up with like give them a chance, like come up with a new name. And everybody was just making fun of Bud Light. Like, people don't want to be preached to. We don't want to have these weird ideologies like basically shoved down our throats. We're sick of it. Go woke, go broke. That's it. That is the lesson for corporate America. I don't even know if they're listening to it. It was funny. MSNBC, I know they're not so funny, right? MSNBC and CNBC. I sometimes flip through the channels and, try to assess like what other news agencies are saying about certain subjects. And they were talking about Disney. And this was actually CNBC, this one. MSNBC had kind of the same take on it, but in a different way. But CNBC was like stunned, like, why is Disney, dropping? Why are their sales dropping? Over 23% of the people that visit, it's dropped at Disney World. They've lost 23% of their crowds. They're seeing all kinds of problems. Well, maybe they shouldn't spend all their time trying to indoctrinate our children. Maybe they should just tell stories and be the Disney for everyone that it used to be. Stories that transgress all cultural barriers and whatever gender you think you are. Like, you don't have to, put relationships into cartoons anymore the way that Disney's doing it. The way they're doing it, it's all about teaching your children. It's beyond tolerance. It's like boyfriends, girlfriends, and then lesbian, gay relationships, commercials for the radical monarchs. It's almost like you've opened up the world of Marxism. It's no longer magical. Now it's the Marxist magical world of Disney. It's so crazy. So how does America get back to the basics? Capitalism works. It works because people will answer with the dollars in their pocket, right? They'll give you that answer. They'll say, yeah, you know what? Bud Light, sorry, we're not buying your product anymore. It's embarrassing. I don't want to walk around with it. I work on a construction site. I don't need Dylan Mulvaney, telling me that he's a woman, and I don't need to see these commercials, and I'm not going to do it. So they walk away. Well, now we have a solution to woke corporations, and it's public square. That's right. They won't go broke because they're not going to be woke. Okay, that sounded so stupid. I know all of you out there are like, why is Sarah saying these dumb rhymes? I don't even know why. I just hear everybody saying this. So they are not woke. This company just went public on the New York Stock Exchange a few weeks ago. Don Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle went up there. They rang the stock market bell and, brought it to life, Public Square. It's an actual app that you can download on your phone. And Michael Seifert is going to be on today. He's the CEO and the founder of Public Square. And I'm so looking forward to having him on. Wow. Patriotic companies. That's what we're here about. That's what we've got to talk about. That's what we've got to promote, right? And speaking of patriotic companies, guess what? Allegiance Gold, a sponsor of the Sarah Carter Show podcast, is one of those companies. It's the reason why Allegiance Gold is so successful and is a partner with this show. And I know all of you out there, those of you that have already contacted Allegiance Gold and have already protected your IRAs or your 401ks, good for you. Because what's important here is diversity and diversifying. And I'm not talking about diversity as far as genders. I'm talking about diversifying your financial situation so that you can protect your family, as well as yourself and your future, right? Diversify, diversify, diversify. And Allegiance Gold can help you do that. It has the highest ratings in the industry right now, 5 stars with TrustLink. It's AAA rated with the Business Consumer Alliance, and it has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Get $5,000 of free silver. I want you to hear this. $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara sent you. That's right. $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara sent you. So don't wait. Call or click today, 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, S-A-R-A. Or go to protectwithsara.com. We can't control the Biden administration, folks. I think we already know that. But we can prepare. 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA. No H. SARA, or go to protectwithsara.com. Okay, guys, CEO and founder of Public Square here, Michael Seifert. I'm so happy to have you on, Michael. And just so everybody knows, before we got on, we're, taking care of all the little technical things that go on with a podcast and making sure the sound's correct. And we had like 2 really funny, great openings. This is the first time we've met and realized, oh, you know what? We weren't even recording that. So, oh well. We're going to try to recreate, I think. Right, Michael?
We are. Although I did already forget what our 2 funny one-liners were now that we're recording. But it's going to be organic and great and wonderful.
Well,
so,
and that's kind of like,
here.
Well, me too. But that's kind of like Public Square, right? It's organic in a way. I mean, you guys looked at the market and said, well, wait a minute. We've got, woke Amazon. We've got woke Bud Light. We've got woke Disney. Parents don't even know where to go anymore. I mean, I feel like I'm in a complete loss. Every time I turn around, there's some company trying to shove some ideological woke mindset either to me or to my child. I mean, we saw that even at Target. I couldn't even let my daughter go to Target to buy bathing suits because I didn't know what there was, like tuck it in and move it around. And I mean, that's crazy. So now you've created this public space, which is now on the stock market. It's gone public. So that we parents and regular people that just want a normal life can go shopping without having somebody try to change our ideology or take away from our family values.
Well, it's interesting that you led the way with the parenting conversation because that is our average consumer on the platform. Our most typical consumer on the platform at publicsq.com, Public Square, is a 37-year-old mom with kids. That's like the most average consumer on the platform because they want to make sure that their values are passed on to the next generation. And unfortunately, a lot of companies have made it their sole purpose to try to indoctrinate the next generation away from truth, away from common sense, away from normalcy. And so when Target came out and poked the mama bears, it was a really bad business decision because all those mama bears came and flooded our platform and are seeking new alternatives because they can't do this anymore. And by the way, I love also that you mentioned normal because we get asked sometimes, okay, so is this kind of like a political marketplace? And our rebuttal is that it's not actually political. This is far more about the principles that we believe should guide the American economy. I'm not even a political person. I'm like a normal dude from 2006. It's just the country left me behind. And we are trying to make sure that there's simple solutions to simple problems. A problem is existing in society right now, which is that there are a lot of companies that don't like us. So our simple solution, here's a list that do. Here's a list of companies that love the country, the Constitution. And by the way, they're not going to lecture you about gender ideology when you're just trying to buy a pair of pants. It's very refreshing.
It is because it's about capitalism. That's what made America so great, right? And I guess people speak with their dollars. And we've seen what's happened to Bud Light. I mean, Anheuser-Busch lost one of the biggest, I think, products that they had on the market. I mean, this was, when I thought of Bud Light, I thought of the guys, watching a football game or, I'm not saying anything to the ladies out there. I mean, it's just what went through my mind, or even gals, but it didn't. There was just this thought of the all-American game, Sundays, grab a Bud Light, get it, and all of a sudden just one decision to say, hey, we're going to use Bud Light. We're going to market it in this direction with Dylan Mulvaney. And it literally destroyed the brand. That is I mean, should have been a lesson that they thought about even before that happened, right? You think like the leadership at Anheuser-Busch would have been like, hey, you know what? We're not going to do that. Let's just keep things the way they are. I mean, why are we going to do that? Who cares if you're gay and you want to buy Bud Light? We don't care. Who cares if you're heterosexual? You just want to buy Bud Light. But instead they did that. And we've been noticing that as a trend. Target, Disney, and others have really lost a lot of their loyal customers because of that.
Well, the Bud Light one was especially fascinating because they actually hired a VP of marketing from Brooklyn, partnered with a San Francisco ad agency to try to market to a brand that was largely made up of conservative middle American, middle class people that want nothing to do with the type of hyper-progressive coastal elitist language that come out of marketing agencies like that. And so it's no surprise that they created a campaign that was so out of touch with their actual consumers. But the more sinister part of this is that if you actually listen to the interviews with the VP of marketing, she was very honest that that was her goal all along. In fact, she said, and I quote, "Our brand is fratty and outdated, and I have a mandate to make it more inclusive and more in touch with the modern age." Bud Light used to be hilarious. They used to have the Real Men of Genius commercials. You watch them at the Super Bowl. Like the country united around that brand. The Clydesdales of Budweiser. Like it used to be such a classic Americana
everybody would be crying. Moms would be crying watching the Clydesdales at Christmas. It's like those beautiful horses and go out and buy some Bud Light, honey. You know, it's like bring it to the party. We loved Bud Light because of that. It was about values, but it wasn't an in-your-face kind of value. It was like an Americana. I'm going to bring this up to you because I'd like to get your take on it. Bloomberg did an analysis of some data that the IRS like basically highlights Southern wealth migration, right? Florida, Texas, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee. I live in Texas. Collectively, they added $100 billion in new net income. That was 2020 to 2021. It's even grown even more now. And a lot of that has to do with, according to experts, woke policies that were driving force to leave like New York City, to leave California, to leave all these areas where you had these ultra hyper progressives. Is that like something that you've noticed too as you're building your company? Like the people that are coming to Public Square, are they coming from these southern states? What are you seeing?
I'm seeing two things. First off, to highlight your point, we as a company are actually moving our headquarters from California to Florida. So we started in San Diego. Yeah, I'm from California. This is the state I've lived the longest. It's my home. I love it dearly. But this state, for whatever reason, Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Hairgel, has made it his sole goal to try to disincentivize business growth. So we are taking our business to a state that actually wants the prosperity of a business like ours, and we're grateful for that. So we're leaving the Golden State, heading to the Sunshine State. That's happening on a much more macro level across the country. And to your question, we are seeing the economic migration away from globalist multinational corporations toward the small businesses that make our country special en masse. It's actually a very significant wealth transfer, and we're here for it. We actually believe ultimately that the small businesses of our country are the backbone of our economy and need to be prioritized and protected as we head into this decade of increased globalization. I actually think that there's a real wake-up call that our country is facing right now, especially coming out of the COVID season, where we're learning our supply chain was faulty. We cannot rely on countries that hate us to make everything for us. We've got to start prioritizing our own local communities, and we have to start prioritizing the policies that will lead to the prospering of the economic environment of our local communities. And we are seeing those policies advanced exclusively in more conservative-led states. So what's happening in our business is a bellwether of what's happening more broadly in our country. And I believe that ultimately consumers will be better off for it as these types of businesses continue to prosper.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Michael. And I think that you made such a great point here. And I would say, I would go even a step further, is that the American people are the backbone of small business, and small business is the backbone of America. It literally cannot, this nation could not exist without the small business owner the way it is, the way it exists now with the foundation, with our Constitution, and all of the things that make America so envious to the rest of the world. I mean, this is a place where opportunity, where when you think about it, when I travel all over the world, if I go to Pakistan, if I'm in Afghanistan, if I go to East Asia, you know, people think of America as the place that they can come to and I hope they still do. But the country that they can come to where they can see a bright future for their families, where they know if they work hard enough, their child can be a doctor, a lawyer, could one day run for office, could one day be president. These are the big dreams. People all over the world see us as that beacon of light. And we've strayed away from it. And I think the weird thing is that we're kind of reversing, right? We're saying, wait a minute, we went from the small businesses that built America into the big corporations, which are awesome, but they built themselves into these massive corporations because of the American people investing in them. And I think they forgot about that. And instead, these corporations have become their own kind of mechanical entities, their own machine, right? It's like a machine that operates without any conscious knowledge of the audience that they're selling to. And I think that is detrimental to a capitalist, our society, a republic, right? That operates on capitalism and believes in ingenuity in the American way. Do you see that we still have an opportunity, though, to go back to that through companies like Public Square and everything? Like the small business owner will be able to, stand up to the Goliath, of these corporations and succeed?
I have a lot of hope that we will. In fact, it's interesting. Just last week, the Washington Post released a pretty lengthy piece specifically about Public Square, about our platform. And it was very fair, actually. I was a little surprised given the Washington Post, but honestly, kudos to the author. It was not friendly or distasteful. It was just fair. It was as a journalist should be. And I enjoyed the piece specifically because while I was not quoted in it, she didn't call for my quote. She actually called our businesses and asked them on the platform, how have you experienced Public Square? Have you experienced an increase in traffic from this platform? Why did you join this platform? What was so cool to read in this Washington Post article specifically was one paragraph where the journalist called a pet store on our platform that joined a few months ago from Alabama and asked them, has Public Square positively benefited your small business? Are you seeing the growth of this parallel patriotic economy? And she said, not only has it benefited our business, we've actually seen 1,000% increase in the monthly web traffic to our site. And they've tracked that from Public Square. So we're seeing businesses in networks like ours thrive in ways that they haven't ever thrived before because up until this point, there wasn't a platform where they could be aggregated in a way and then presented to consumers that would have a vested interest in supporting them. Amazon dominates the commerce space, and it's a conglomeration of a bunch of nameless, faceless brands built by countries that hate us. And so then you, in turn, come to Public Square and see that it's the largest network of patriotic small businesses in the country, well over 55,000 different business vendors from all different industries that are excited to serve you. And the best, most rewarding part of that experience is that those businesses are actually prospering. I remember when we first launched in San Diego, California for our soft launch, there was a hair salon that reached out and said, hey, I just want to let you know my sales have doubled this month from joining this platform with a free profile. Thanks for building this. And I remember sitting back and thinking, if that's all that ever happens, if that one story was the reason for all of this, it would have been worth it. It would have been worth all the blood, sweat, and tears to build this platform. And thankfully, there have been thousands more stories like it since.
I think that's such an interesting phenomenon, right? We've been so divided as a nation, and I think a whole large section of our country has felt basically silenced. We talk about this all the time in the media, like the silent majority, and now people are starting to speak up. But I think having a platform like Public Square gives people an opportunity to say, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm not as alone as the majority of the media is making me feel. Maybe there are all these other people out there that are feeling the same way I do. And there's so many Americans that I think they're misread. Just because you're conservative doesn't mean you don't support other people's rights to be free and to practice the way they want or to marry who they want. Some people do, some people don't. But I think people are just tired of being told like how to live, what to do, even down to the point where I think you talked about mama bears at the very beginning, and I want to get your take on this. But like in Virginia, I think the reason Governor Youngkin became the governor of Virginia and people woke up was because, Terry McAuliffe was telling parents, hey, guess what? You don't have any place in your child's education. And Democrats, independents, and Republicans, probably libertarians and Green Party members too, were like, wait a minute. No, that's not going to work. And the mama bear rose up and the papa bear, right? And you're seeing that a lot with your companies on Public Square.
Certainly. In fact, it's interesting. I get asked this question a lot. Why has it been this year? Like, why has 2023 been the year that all of a sudden it feels like en masse people are really focused on this sort of woke capital and confronting it? And the simple answer is because they came after the kids. Mm-hmm. When you have major brands like Target or Disney that are all of a sudden now trying to target the kids with this over-sexualized, hyper-gender-specific language, you're going to rile up the parents and you're going to experience backlash. And these companies deserve backlash. So what's interesting is that before that, a lot of the language was targeted toward adults. It was brands doing stuff like Lululemon, targeting adults in a way that many conservatives would find distasteful or frustrating. But it wasn't quite powerful enough to seriously initiate these major boycotts. When you start talking to the kids, that's when everything changes. And we've seen that happen in education. We've seen that happen in the world of commerce. We've seen it happen in media and entertainment. We've seen parents say, okay, enough is enough. Like, this was my line and you crossed it and you blatantly crossed it. And one thing that I think is important to note is that while boycotts are incredibly successful, obviously, Anheuser-Busch had their earnings call this morning and it was a disaster. Boycotts in and of themselves are not, and they're not as effective as they could be, though, unless you can actually move your consumer spending to something else. Because ultimately, $55 billion lost in market cap between Target, Anheuser-Busch, and Disney, that money has to go somewhere. It doesn't just evaporate. So when consumers can shift their purchasing power to other entities that refuse to try to indoctrinate your kids, it can be an incredibly refreshing thing for the economy that I think will make our entire country better off in the long term. So I get a lot of hope as I look at the growth of not just our company, but small business America in general. We just ran a big survey last week and asked our businesses how they're feeling. And it was great to see that 68% of the small businesses on our platform that were surveyed said, I still feel really hopeful about the future of my business because I'm seeing strength in numbers. The silent majority is not silent any longer.
That's such an awesome statement. You know, do you think that the other companies are just tone deaf? I mean, what happened? I mean, you're young. You started this amazing company. I mean, I am just in awe of you and what you've been able to see. You know what I mean? And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of not just see it, but take action on it. You said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to start this company. You're the founder of Public Square. But what do you think's happened to these older corporations, these very well established corporate marketplace where and senior level officials? What do you think's happened to them? Are they just tone deaf to the world? Do they only hang out at like Hollywood bubble parties and, you know, and listen to like people like Barbara Streisand? I don't even know. I don't know what's going on there, but there's something going on. Because why would you throw away, like you said, $55 billion? Is that what it is? You know, where you're losing so much money. Why would you throw that money away in a capitalist world where you need the money to continue moving forward and to pay your employees?
Well, yeah, it's a great question that has a lot of Americans scratching their heads because it feels so upside down. I mean, one quick story is that we actually started a diaper company recently at Public Square. So we have this incredible marketplace. The marketplace creates community for us. My daughter's going to love you. My daughter's going to love you. She's going to be buying the diapers there. I'm telling her right now. Diaper company, we got it right here. Where is it? I'm writing it down. So it's called everylife.com. Check out everylife.com. And here's why. We learned over the past year that every single major diaper company in the United States is either vocally or financially supporting abortion. How that makes any sense, I'm not sure. But yeah, and I'm not kidding.
What?
Hello Bello, Coterie, Pampers. Yeah, it's absurd. So
I'm texting her right now. I'm going to say, throw away those Pampers. I'm buying you Every Life. Throw away the Pampers, Sophia.
What's so wild is that you so correctly pointed out that the economy is just turned upside down. Nothing makes sense anymore. Why would you randomly throw away this money? The same question can be asked when you see examples as blatant as a diaper company advocating for the termination. You know, our direct competitor with Every Life is Hello Bello. Hello Bello funds their own employees' abortions. And Coterie, which is kind of the premium diaper, most nice diaper money can buy, Coterie said last year after the overturning of Roe v. Wade that their team and their company feels, quote, lost without abortion. So the world's just gone mad. Nothing makes any sense anymore. And by the way, regardless of how you feel about abortion from a moral perspective, we should all in our country, even on the left, be able to agree that that makes zero economic sense.
Right.
So,
I mean, you're a diaper company. You want life. You're like, I need more, give me more babies. I want to sell more diapers. So what? Yeah, I guess I'm asking you the question that
you're asking why.
I don't understand it.
And there's a deeper reason for this. So before going into too much history behind it, but back in the 80s, there was this real change from shareholder capitalism to stakeholder capitalism. And that's a very important difference. Shareholder capitalism says that the primary responsibility of a business is to provide maximum values to its consumers and its shareholders. That's it. That's what the U.S. economy was built on. Stakeholder capitalism says that you have to factor in these other external stakeholders, like the climate, or like the political party of the day, or like marginalized communities, gender quotas. This rise of ESG and DEI philosophies. ESG is environmental, social governance. DEI is diversity, equity, inclusion. These economic philosophies rose to the forefront of our society over the course of the last few decades as a result of stakeholder capitalism. So we scratch our heads and wonder, what the heck are these companies doing, trying to focus on Two-Spirit Identity Day, and they're all this stuff and lecturing to us more about gender than they are about providing quality product. Like, what the heck happened? The reason for it is because there have been massive financial incentives as it relates to loans, as it relates to capital increases, from having high ESG and DEI scores. It has nothing to do with your profits anymore. It doesn't matter how much money you make. You eviscerate your market cap because you took a bad bet on wokeism, and yet the Jamie Dimons of the world will still reward you with high ESG scores, high DEI scores, a lot of economic favor, a lot of political favor. So companies turn into activist organizations rather than institutions solely focused on providing value to their customers and their shareholders. That's why this has happened.
And they turn into it. This is brilliant, Michael. This is brilliant. Because I'm telling you, everybody's going to be like, yes, Michael, you said it. It's like a wake-up call, right? So it's almost, I remember when I was talking to a scientist, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's a well-known scientist, worked at Harvard. And I said to him, and he was talking about all this crazy climate activism and what was going on in these studies that were coming out that seemed completely skewed and weren't based on scientific fact. And I said, why is this happening? And he said, well, Sara, they get money from the government when they conduct these scientific studies and prove whatever government narrative needs to be proved. And what you're saying right here is that, the loans, the money, the credit scores, the people that are really in charge, the behind the scenes folks that we never pay attention to because we're too busy going to work and buying our products. These are the people that are really pushing the ideology. They're the ones hanging out at the Hollywood bubble parties. And
just for reference, I'm not sure what a bubble party is, but
me neither. I just made that up. They live in their own bubble. I just made that up. I do. I make up these words and then people start using them. So I don't know. But the bubble party works.
Yeah, it sounds like something that does exist, but you're exactly right. That is such an important point for people to understand, is that these people haven't just gone crazy. They're intentional and methodical about their approach to overhaul the U.S. economy toward political and sociological aims. These people want to socially engineer society, and they've recognized that commerce can be a powerful tool to do it. What's interesting is that obviously it leads nowhere good. Anytime these companies prioritize ESG or DEI over providing maximum value to their shareholders, it always leads to the demise of their company. It's just a matter of how fast does it happen. So, good example, FTX last year, the big crypto scam by Sam Bankman-Fried that decimated billions of dollars and hurt a lot of people in the process. Well, FTX had one of the highest ESG scores of any company in the entire world. And by the way, this is not just limited to companies. This is also present in countries geopolitically. Sri Lanka is one of the most corrupted countries in the entire world, and yet they have one of the highest ESG scores of the whole world. China will lecture everybody about climate and say that they're part of the climate club and all this stuff, and yet they pollute the world more than any country by far.
Absolutely.
So it's very interesting that in commerce, in education, in entertainment, in geopolitics. The very people lecturing us on this virtue signaling train are the very people that are not even abiding by their own philosophies, but B, have a total disregard for the people that they're actually claiming to serve. So it's a mess, and that's why we're trying to bring things back to the basics. We're trying to go back to meritocracy.
How are you going to be able to fight like this idea? I mean, you went public a week ago, but now how will that help you fight ESG?
Well, going public specifically helps us because it was an opportunity to raise capital. And to create a business venture like this is obviously very expensive, especially because the hyper-woke venture capital firms of the world weren't exactly burning my door down to try to invest in our company, given that I spend all day preaching against them. So Sequoia Capital, surprisingly, has never given me a call. So we had to raise money a different way. We went to grassroots investors. We actually sought our own revenue. Fancy that. We've really tried to prioritize a lucrative business that is building with ideologically like-minded folks that are as excited about the return on impact as they are the return on capital, because we're going to shift our economy back toward focusing on excellence, love for country, meritocracy, the values of the Constitution, et cetera. So we've done that from the beginning of the business. Going public allowed to do that on a broader scale. I wanted to be a company that's by the people, for the people, and ultimately owned by we, the people. The capital markets were in desperate need of democratization. And actually, just like we've spent this episode talking largely about how consumers have a desire to spend money in alignment with their values, the same is true in the world of investment. If you're an investor and you're looking to invest money at a company that hasn't been hijacked by woke culture and ESG and DEI, there are very few options. So now we're getting to provide one of those options. And in the process, we are able to actually take the capital markets and the world of consumer spending by storm in such a way that we shift the power structures of society back toward we, the people, with the power of consumer spending. And on top of that, we get a lot of questions of like, well, how will you resist the BlackRocks and the Vanguards and the State Streets and all these different asset managers now that you're public? And we actually had a provision in our transaction as we went public that had me securing a majority vote of control of the special class of voting shares so that we can't be hijacked by an activist investor. George Soros can't come in and just hijack the direction of the company. That doesn't work in this deal. So, we really feel like we're set up for success. We've got the long game in mind. We have a long road ahead, but we genuinely believe that if our consumers will continue and businesses will continue building this plane in flight with us, that the American economy will look better off for it.
Hey, folks, the 20th anniversary sale of MyPillow. Wow. It just seems like yesterday that I remember seeing Mike Lindell for the first time on TV, and now it's 20 years later. I want to say congratulations to Mike Lindell for such a great job and for making such wonderful and great American products, all of which are in my home, from the MyPillows to the dog beds to the My Slippers. Yes, the My Slippers. Not only am I wearing them, I heard Jack Posovic's wearing them, his wife's wearing them. I mean, all the conservatives are wearing My Slippers. Get your My Slippers on and support a great American business. Right now, you can get queen size MyPillows, regular price. Listen to this. This is for Sarah Carter listeners. $69.98, now only $19.98, and just $10 more for a king size pillow. That's insanity. MyPillow.com/Carter, promo code Carter, or call 1-800-685-7221. Choose your size and fill level. Think about that. It's like you can design your own pillow at MyPillow, right? And there's 100% Giza cotton cases that you can put on your MyPillow. I'm telling you, you're going to love this. You have a 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com/Carter and use promo code Carter to get the queen size MyPillow for only $19.98 during Mike's MyPillow 20th anniversary sale, or call 1-800-685-7221. There you'll find not only this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow slippers, pet beds, blankets, and more. Get the best night's sleep of your life at MyPillow.com/Carter and use promo code Carter, or call 1-800-685-7221. MyPillow.com/Carter, promo code Carter. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're not afraid to stand up to woke corporations, join me here at the Sarah Carter Show by subscribing down below or on your favorite podcast app. I don't care which one it is. Just subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and share us with a friend. It really does help. Wow, I have just a few more questions. I know I'm keeping you longer than I intended, but how do you screen a new company if they want to sell their product on Public Square? Do you have a process? Like if I want to start my own like business and I want to go to Public Square, which I'm actually thinking about. But if I decided to do that, if I bubble parties for conservatives, I have no idea what those are, but we're gonna come up. We're gonna come up with something creative. But and we're gonna hijack that from the liberals. But how do you screen them?
That's a great question. So when a business heads to publicsq.com or downloads the app from the App Store or Google Play, you're going to see right at the top, there's a button that says add your business. When you click that button, it takes you to a values page where you see our 5 company core values. Very simply, we love life, liberty, family, pursuit of happiness. We believe that the Constitution affords us our rights, not government, so government can't take them away. And when businesses agree to respect those values, they're saying that they're not going to spend time, money, or resource antagonistically against those values. They agree with them. And while we're not asking them to do anything, ESG asks you to donate to causes. You have to limit your climate or your greenhouse emissions. You have to do all these different things to stay in the good graces of the ESG overlords. That's very different than our platform. You don't have to do anything. There's a coffee shop literally right across the street where I'm filming this episode right now. That's on Public Square. And as you walk by them, they're not political at all. They agree with our values, but they're not trying to lecture you about anything, even their own values. All they're trying to do is provide a really quality business for you. So when they agree to respect those values, they're not saying that they're going to do, you don't have to donate to right-leaning causes. We're just asking you to respect these values, that you agree with them so that the consumers know with blessed assurance that they're not going to fund their opposition. Then that profile gets passed off to our vetting team. We have a team of about 10 folks that are young, hungry research analysts that are scouring the internet, and they're utilizing what's called the PSQ score, which is an algorithm that scrapes what businesses have said online, either on their social media. And we're vetting for quality and alignment of values. So we want to make sure that the links work correctly, that these businesses are real, that they're not trying to troll us. And at the same time, making sure that there's nothing that blatantly stands against the values that they've agreed to commit to. And we like to have a relationship with these business owners. We want to make sure that we actually have their contact information, that we're in touch with them. And once all that's good to go, green button gets hit, push live to the platform. So that's happened for well over 55,000 different businesses. And it's pretty cool to see the process working.
That is so awesome. Where do you see the company in 10 years, Michael? What's its future looking like to you?
Well, we will be a one-stop shop shopping experience for 100 million plus Americans that have felt unheard, forgotten, or downright antagonized. There's a whole lot of patriotic Americans out there that are wanting to shop with companies that love this country and love the values that built it. And so as we're able to do that in areas of e-commerce, in areas of retail, that's what gets us really excited. When we can become a retail force in our economy that celebrates the small businesses that have built it and always puts them on display, we'll know we did it. And so, awesome. That's definitely on the consumer-facing side. On the business-facing side, this has really become the new Chamber of Commerce. We have businesses represented now and their values in a way that is very unique in our country. They have created a neat community between themselves, just the businesses and other businesses. That's something we're excited to expand a lot more into the future as well.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that as well. I think that's awesome. I love to see just grassroots efforts, regular Americans, thinking innovatively and creating new things. Where can our listeners go? Where can my listeners go to get the latest and the greatest on Public Square and, start voting with their dollars and making your company the biggest place to go in the future for the purchasing of goods in the United States?
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for having me on. You can head to publicsq.com, and that's the best place to get started because there you'll see a login or a join button where you can actually create an account and start the experience. It's totally free. We'll never ask you for money. We'd love it if you sign up and join the community. You can also add your business there at publicsq.com. You can also download the app from the App Store or Google Play. We recommend that to folks that like to shop from their mobile devices. And then if you'd like to take part in the first D2C product that we created, you can go to everylife.com if you're looking for diapers or wipes that are high performing and support the life of every little miracle. So publicsq.com is the best place to go. That's kind of our single source of truth, and we'd love it if people join us.
Well, I'm super excited because you got Brave Books on there. I joined, and you have my book on there too. Joining the amazing club, Awesome Sauce. And I saw I got 5 out of 5 on all my reviews. It's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sending my daughter, Sophia, right now over to everylife.com. She's got to go get some diapers, folks. If you're conservative, if you believe in life and you just don't want to be giving money to these ridiculous companies that are doing such, I I don't even know what to say about that, but I can't imagine diaper companies supporting abortions. That's just, it seems so on its upside down and on its head. Go to everylife.com. Thank you, Michael, for being a part of the show. I hope you come back.
Thank you. I'd love to join you in the future. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. You're more than welcome. It was so great having Michael Seifert here. I can't wait to bring him back on the show. I want you to follow me on Truth at Sarah Carter Official, Twitter at Sarah Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless all the conservative businesses out there that want to bring America back to its glory the way it should be. God bless our nation. And by God, God bless the great state of Texas.